I witnessed, recorded, and produced these videotapes of the Washington, D.C. hearing. Their authenticity is above question.
This is produced as part of the ongoing work on the website, thewaythetruthandthelife.net.
This is a hearing about the government licensing the electrocution of people to cause grand mal seizures. Think of the millions of dollars, taxpayers' money, spent to pay psychiatrists and their supporters and for the worldwide travel in putting this conference together, while the victims and opponents had to pay their own way.
Yes, yes. I would beg the panel's indulgence to continue. Dr. Glenn Peterson. I'm a private psychiatrist from Oakland, California. About 5% of my practice or less involves delivering ECT. I'm also an officer of an organization known as the International Psychiatric Association for the Advancement of Electrotherapy. I'd like to use 2 minutes that I might have earned from standing in the line but never getting to the microphone yesterday in hopes of providing some data that was requested but never obtained about the distribution of ECT and ECT training, and then respond to the consent issue. California's statistics are extremely relevant. Our organization has surveyed within recent months the prevalence of numbers of the population of ECT practitioners, psychiatrists who deliver ECT, and of ECT training availability, largely within the U.S. We've obtained responses from 56 generally large communities in 27 states and 1 province in Canada. Our membership also goes into Asia and Mexico. We learned that in 40% of these areas, absolutely no technical training in ECT is available for psychiatric residents. They may be given books to read or be advised in didactic sessions that ECT is looked upon in a certain regard, but the trainee may not even witness a treatment episode. In the communities that do offer training, it's usually a mixed bag. Some of the residencies in those communities, such as Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, etc., do offer the training, and some don't, so it's very spotty.
I can't really grant you your request to have several 2 minutes. If you could make your other statements just to try to bullet fashion.
I'll try to go fast. The communities where there has been no increase in number of people doing ECT, no new practitioners of ECT, were 60% of the communities. This is in the last 5 years. In 1/3 of the communities, there has been a net decrease of numbers of people doing ECT, so it's becoming less available. In Alaska, there's nobody that does ECT. In Puerto Rico, it's outlawed totally. In California, we practice ECT under the threat of professional death penalty. I'm being graphic, but the ultimate sanction is that the physician may lose his license to practice if found in violation of the rigid consent standards to practice. Since 1977, when this consent law has been enforced, the total number of hospitals and physicians doing ECT under this repressive atmosphere has diminished regularly each year. All of these statistics are reported by the state through 1983 and have been tabulated and reported. The number of deaths reported due to non-availability of ECT has been 28 in the first 4 years of this law. The number of deaths due to ostensible side effects of ECT in 100,000 treatments in the first 7 years.
What I'd like to suggest is you have some material in terms of the data that you alluded to. Why don't you write it up now? We've got to pass it out to the panel, but I have to know, and I apologize for having to cut you off. I have to from other people to have that word of the line. I'm sorry.
I regret your patience.
Yes.
First of all, in reference to the question that was previously asked about getting consent from the patient during periods of remission, the corollary to that is the psychiatric living will, which many of us have signed, in which during periods of acknowledged competence and get a psychiatric evaluation that becomes part of this document, people have written in things like, should I ever become considered legally incompetent, my choice is never to receive ECT or never to receive psychiatric drugs or whatever it is that the person wants. The psychiatric will corollary to which blank Dr. Treatment concerning the methodology of the studies he was referring to. First, he referred to the paper by Dr. Gray, Severe Depression, a Patient's Thoughts in the British Journal of Psychiatry, and said that the paper got easily accepted. Of course it got easily accepted. What would have been debated, a paper written by a non-MD criticizing her ECT treatment. He also referred in his presentation to positive patient accounts of ECT as being objective as opposed to negative patient accounts, which presumably were non-objective, and I question that terminology as well. As far as the Hilliard and Folger study, their methodology ignored the very legitimate feelings patients might have of fear that they might be subjected to further ECT should they say that ECT had not helped them, their desire to avoid further treatment, and their desire, which is well known in psychological literature having to do with kidnapped victims and so forth, the desire to please one's torturers and stay on their good side at all costs. As far as his own study, in terms of methodology, 49% of the people afterwards thought they had received no explanation, 12% stated that they couldn't remember, a total of 61%. What further evidence does the panel need of memory loss of the immediate period surrounding ECT? Furthermore, he said that 57% said that ECT helped a lot, 21% said that it helped a little. Again, the person asking the question, he admitted, was very often the same one who had given the ECT, and again, you have to look at the patient's fear of further.
I'd like to ask, because the time is out now, if we could ask him to try to respond to your questions.
Yeah, just one more question. Why were patients' fears of brain damage, electric current, and other things classified as worries and fantasies?
I
can't answer all those questions. I'll answer the one about Dr. Gray first. He wasn't an MD. My point of that anecdote was in fact that he was critical of psychiatry, and yet his paper was published. It so happened that he said one or two, not very positive things about ECT. Most of the treatment he had, he was quite critical of its uncaring nature, and that was published in a major journal. That's the point of that anecdote. I quite accept the deficiencies in the studies that you described, and I thought that much of what I presented did indicate there were considerable worries about this treatment and patient acceptance of it, particularly on memory scores. I think the crucial issue is the cost-benefit ratio, and I suppose what surprised me was that although a very large number of patients did say their memory was impaired, they still wanted to have ECT again. Apparently,
they said that they wanted to.
Yeah.
To you and your
but it was their judgment at that time that the benefits they had received from the treatment outweighed the side effects they had got.
I just also want to point out one thing.
I'm sorry.
That I was personally acquainted with 2 patients in Australia who successfully sued their psychiatrist for giving them ECT and won large money settlements.
Thank you. I will go on now with the rest of the program. I apologize to those of you extending online for some time, over 25 or 30 minutes, but we have to go on. There will be another final discussion period before the conclusion of the conference, beginning of about 11:30. I'm sorry, let's go on. The next speaker.
Excuse me, please. I don't think that you're allowing the participation of the audience to the extent that is necessary in this kind of a conference. Once again, you're showing your bias and contempt by not allowing people to speak out, but have a bias toward the academic. I mean, it's very clear.
I have been rude, as it were, interrupting everyone who goes over 2 minutes, and I will continue to be, I'm afraid, widely rude because we can't go over 2 minutes per question or answer, and I apologize for that because of the time. I think that we should go on now with the next presentation, which is entitled Clinical Strategies and Choice.
I did try, but it fell. I'm going to go first.
One shock treatment can equal 150 joules of energy. This is equal to dropping a hammer on someone's head from higher than a 5-story building.
At the FDA hearings, the testimony on the reclassification of electroconvulsive devices cited the literature as whether signed or false, typically about 150 joules of energy in a treatment. With the new Thymatron electroconvulsive device, check out at 400 volts, maximum of 0.9 amps, and 320-some millisecond pulses.
Could you finish up your question, your remarks?
Yeah, I would like somebody to tell me. I'm a teacher as well as a physicist, and I brought a kilogram with me. Teachers like to demonstrate. This is a kilogram. It's 2.2 pounds. Heavier than a hammer used to hit an amp. I wonder if possibly like Dr. Stein could tell me how high I would have to drop this kilogram from in order to have it hit the ground with 150 joules of energy.
I don't know if that question is in the purview of the panel, but that is the point. I'd like to go on to the next person.
This is only 10 joules of energy. You're talking about dropping it from higher than a 5-story building. That's physics. Supposedly in pre-med backgrounds.
Thank you.
I never got it.
All right, out with your gum. Out with your gum.
Okay, this won't hurt. It'll be over in just a moment. What's that?
Conductant.
Oh, that will do you. Right, Mr. Jackson.
Open your mouth.
What's that?
This will keep you from biting your tongue.
Well,
Now just bite down on it. That's right. Just bite down. Now bite down on it.
good. Are you ready? Here we go.